Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Are these unsettling words the first words of Mariah's mysterious blackmail message? Suggest that a mystery blackmail communication beginning with 5 frightening phrases might be sent to Mariah Copeland. Will Mariah be confronted with a startling threat and be reminded of the business trip she would prefer to forget? Fans are curious about where Mariah's plot will go from here because she is still troubled by the drunken night she spent with the stranger, whom she eventually suffocated. Mariah is not doing well at all, despite being in therapy and making every effort to deal. Naturally, when Mariah discovers how close Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter are becoming, she might be feeling even worse. Mariah's opportunity to save her marriage could seem to be evaporating. However, if Mariah receives an enigmatic blackmail note, her life can be completely upended. That might be just what this Y&R tale needs to get a boost of excitement and go on to a new and thrilling chapter. Mariah might believe she is the only one aware of the atrocity that occurred that evening, but what if she is mistaken? On soap operas, secrets tend to leak. Thus Mariah could be appalled that someone would learn of her illegal activities. This leads us to the first 5 frightening phrases that could appear in an enigmatic blackmail message. I know what you did. If someone finds out about the smothering and takes advantage of it, Mariah can lose it. There have been rumors that Billy Flynn's character, Kane Ashby, would discover this information and take advantage of it. As part of his ambitious intentions, Kane encouraged Holden Novak to meet with Mariah, and it appears that he may wish to acquire Cassidy First technology. That's an interesting alternative to think about since Kane might play dirty if he uses Mariah's secret to take over Sharon Newman's business. Another possibility is that the stranger may find Mariah to play tricks on her after surviving her attempt to suffocate her. However, if that man did actually die, a family member might be seeking retribution. In any event, it would be fascinating to watch Mariah navigate a blackmail situation. Mariah may get a message that results in demands and a mystery surrounding the threat's origin. Are these unsettling words the first words of Mariah's mysterious blackmail message? Could this chilling revelation finally unravel the fragile stability she has tried so hard to maintain? Whispers in Genoa City suggest that a blackmail communication beginning with 5 frightening words might soon find its way into Mariah Copeland's life, the type of note that instantly turns confidence into paranoia and security into fear. Imagine her shock as she reads a simple, devastating line. I know what you did. Those words alone could be enough to catapult Mariah back into the haunting memories of a business trip she would prefer to erase from existence. The night where one bad choice cascaded into an irreversible act. Fans of The Young and the Restless know that Mariah has carried guilt before, but nothing as suffocating, nothing as terrifying, as the possibility that someone knows her darkest, most shameful secret. The drunken night with the stranger she barely remembered before suffocating him in a panic that even she cannot fully explain. Though therapy has become her anchor, her sessions often force her to relive the suffocation, the way his body stilled, and the moment she realized she had gone too far. She convinces herself that therapy will eventually mend her fractured psyche, but the fear lingers in her eyes, a constant shadow of self-loathing she cannot fully expel, even when Tessa Porter tries to assure her that she is enough, that she is strong, that she is loved. Yet love cannot silence a secret as heavy as murder, or what she believes was murder. And if those chilling words land in her inbox, scribbled in handwriting she doesn't recognize, they will rip open the scars she has tried to heal. Mariah is not doing well at all, even if she smiles through the pain, even if she tells her therapist she is making progress, even if she insists to her wife that things are looking up. Every glance at Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter growing closer makes her stomach churn, makes her pulse race, makes her wonder if the universe is conspiring to remind her that she is undeserving of happiness. Daniel's easy laughter, the way he listens to Tessa's every word, the chemistry that Mariah pretends not to notice, it all fuels her insecurity, and those insecurities could be the cracks where a blackmail note sinks its claws into her life. What if her marriage is already slipping away? What if the note arrives at the worst possible moment, stripping her of her last shred of stability? Imagine Mariah holding her phone, staring at a message that simply reads, I know what you did. Her chest tightens, her breath shortens, and the room spins. She may think she is the only one who remembers the stranger from that business trip, The only one who knows about the suffocating and the lifeless eyes that haunted her dreams for weeks. But soap opera history is clear. Secrets do not stay buried, and when they do surface, they drag everything and everyone down with them. Mariah's secret may not be as secure as she hopes. Was there a witness that night? Did someone see her leave the room, disheveled and pale? Did someone cover up the aftermath, only to bide their time until the moment was right to strike? Or perhaps the stranger wasn't dead after all, and he has been waiting to reveal himself in a cruel game of cat and mouse. What if the suffocation didn't end his life but sparked his rage, turning him into the shadow lurking just beyond Mariah's line of sight? Soap villains thrive on vengeance, and if he survived, what better revenge than dismantling Mariah's world piece by piece? Another terrifying possibility is that he truly did die, but his family never stopped searching for answers. A sibling, a lover, a child perhaps, someone with the resources and the motivation to dig, to discover Mariah's name, to pen that ominous message and send it at the exact moment when she is weakest. On a show like Y&R, such a twist would push Mariah into uncharted territory, forcing her to face not only her guilt but also the reality that her secret crime could destroy her career, her marriage, her family, her very sense of self. And what if the blackmailer isn't a stranger at all but someone far closer to home? Rumors have been swirling that Kane Ashby, played by Billy Flynn, could be the one to discover her secret. Imagine Kane's smirk as he slides a piece of paper across her desk. I know what you did. Kane, with his ambitious streak and his knack for manipulation, could use this knowledge as leverage, especially if it means acquiring Cassidy First Technology, the business Sharon Newman has been building. Kane has never been shy about playing dirty, and using Mariah's guilt as a bargaining chip would be a logical next step in his quest for power. If Holden Novak is aligned with him, then orchestrating a meeting with Mariah could simply be the first move in a calculated plan to bleed her dry. Kane thrives on control, and controlling Mariah with her own secret would give him everything he craves. But how long could Mariah keep up the facade? Blackmail is never a single demand. It is an escalating spiral, a never-ending nightmare of demands, payments, and threats. One moment it could be money, the next it could be information, and finally, the blackmailer might want blood. Every time Mariah checks her phone, every time she opens her email, every time she hears her name whispered at society, she will wonder if it is about the suffocation. She will wonder if the next demand is waiting just beyond the screen. And the paranoia will drive her to the brink, testing her sanity, testing her marriage, testing her will to keep breathing through the guilt. Could she confide in Tessa? Could she tell her everything, risk the horror in her wife's eyes, risk the collapse of the only stable relationship she has ever known? Or will she bury the secret deeper, convincing herself she can handle the blackmailer alone, only to find herself suffocating under the weight of both her crime and the extortion? Either way, the blackmail note promises a seismic shift in Genoa City, and the brilliance of this potential storyline lies in its ambiguity. Was the message sent by Kane, the opportunistic schemer with a new plan, or by the stranger who somehow survived, or by a grieving family member seeking revenge, or perhaps even by someone entirely unexpected, like Daniel himself, who might have stumbled across the truth while bonding with Tessa? Soap operas thrive on misdirection, and fans will speculate endlessly about who sent the first message. But one thing is certain. The words "I know what you did" will echo through Mariah's world, tearing at her soul and reshaping her future. It will force her to confront not only the consequences of her actions but also the deepest question of all. Can a woman who suffocated another human being ever truly deserve love, forgiveness, or peace? As viewers watch Mariah unravel, as they watch her paranoia spiral, as they watch her desperately cling to Tessa even while fearing she will lose her, they will also watch Genoa City shift. Kane may rise, Sharon's business may crumble, Tessa may drift toward Daniel, and Mariah herself may stand at the center of a storm she cannot escape. The blackmail note isn't just a plot device. It is a ticking bomb. And the first 5 frightening words are the fuse. I know what you did. And in those words, Mariah's fate is sealed. Mariah Copeland's descent into fear truly begins the moment those words arrive, because they are not just words on a page but daggers aimed directly at her soul, each letter dripping with menace. I know what you did. She rereads them over and over again until her eyes blur, her palms sweat, and her heart hammers as if it might burst through her chest, because she knows exactly what they mean even if no one else does. Every attempt to rationalize the message fails. Maybe it's spam, maybe it's some cruel prank, maybe it was never meant for her, but the sick feeling in her stomach insists otherwise. That phrase is too precise, too perfect, too tied to the memory she cannot escape. If she told anyone else, they might laugh it off. But Mariah knows the truth. She suffocated someone, she felt the life leave his body, and no amount of therapy can erase that from her mind. The suffocating wasn't just an accident born of drunken panic. It was her crime, her burden, her deepest shame. Now the question she cannot shake is who knows? She starts replaying the night in her head like a broken record. She sees the stranger's eyes again, the struggle, the silence, and the aftermath. Did she really check for a pulse? Could she have been mistaken? What if he survived? What if he crawled away, gasping for air, and found someone to help him? If he lived, then he knows everything, and now he wants revenge. But if he died, then who cleaned up the mess? Could a hotel worker have seen? Could security cameras have captured something? Each possibility gnaws at her, each thought slicing away at her sanity. And as if the terror of the message weren't enough, Mariah's personal life feels like quicksand. Therapy sessions leave her raw, forcing her to drag the memories into daylight, and she comes home to see Tessa and Daniel laughing together, connecting in ways that make her feel like an outsider in her own marriage. Daniel doesn't have to try, he listens, he charms, he remembers Tessa's stories, and Mariah feels her throat tighten every time she sees them. In her mind, the blackmail message and the growing wedge between her and Tessa intertwine into one overwhelming fear. She is going to lose everything. And then the second message comes, confirming her worst nightmare, that this is no prank, no coincidence. This time, it is not just a vague accusation but a demand. Pay, or everyone learns the truth. The email is untraceable, the voice disguised, the handwriting, when she later receives a physical note, scrawled in a way that gives nothing away. The anonymity is part of the torment. Is it Kane, pulling strings to force her into betraying Sharon and giving up Cassidy First Technology? Kane has been circling Sharon's company like a vulture, and he has already pushed Holden Novak into her orbit under suspicious circumstances. Kane is shrewd enough to use Mariah's vulnerability as leverage, and ambitious enough to demand control of the company in exchange for silence. The thought of being trapped under Kane's thumb makes her skin crawl. But then again, maybe it's not Kane at all. Maybe it's the stranger himself, alive after all, sending these cryptic words just to watch her unravel. Or maybe it's his family, someone who pieced together the clues, someone who wants not money but revenge, someone who won't stop until Mariah suffers the way they suffered. Each theory brings new terror, and Mariah starts to look at everyone around her with suspicion. The barista at Crimson Lights who lingered a little too long, the anonymous delivery driver who dropped off a package without a return address, even co-workers who glance at her emails. Suddenly anyone could be the enemy. The paranoia grows, and the weight of the secret presses down harder than ever. She can't tell Tessa, not when she's already worried about losing her. Confessing now would destroy any chance of salvaging their marriage. But keeping it to herself means facing the blackmailer alone, feeding their demands in silence, and risking that one day the truth will explode in public anyway. Each choice feels like a noose tightening. Then there's Daniel, the unintentional thorn in her side. What if Daniel isn't just charming Tessa innocently? What if he knows something, has overheard something, stumbled onto a piece of the puzzle, and is weaving himself into Tessa's life as part of the blackmail scheme? The thought terrifies her, yet she cannot dismiss it. Soap history is full of smiling faces hiding knives behind their backs, and Daniel's proximity to her wife makes him an ideal suspect. Meanwhile, Kane's behavior becomes more suspicious by the day. He drops hints in conversations, vague phrases that feel loaded. Everyone has secrets, don't they? Or the past has a way of catching up. He doesn't come right out and say it, but Mariah hears the subtext, hears the taunt beneath the words, and it makes her blood run cold. If Kane is the blackmailer, then the price will be high. He doesn't just want money, he wants power, influence, control over Sharon's company, control over Mariah herself. And the more Mariah resists, the more Kane might push, threatening to release the secret at the most devastating moment, perhaps at a Newman event or a press conference where Sharon's name is on the line. The very thought makes Mariah sick. Yet, as terrifying as Kane is, the idea of the stranger still being alive terrifies her even more. What if he returns in the flesh, standing before her as a living ghost, ready to expose her. That reveal would shatter her sanity. The guilt she's carried, the therapy she's endured, the fragile facade she's built, it would all come crashing down. And in the soap opera world, nothing stays hidden forever. Secrets are made to explode, and when this one does, it will not only upend Mariah's life but ripple across Genoa City. Sharon's business could collapse under scandal, Tessa could walk away, Daniel could slide into her place, Cain could rise in power, and Mariah herself could spiral into a dangerous breakdown. The blackmail isn't just about money or leverage, it's about power, and power in Genoa City is never given up easily. Each day Mariah wakes up wondering if this will be the day her world ends. She checks her phone obsessively, dreads her email, jumps at shadows. Every message could be the next demand. Every call could be the voice of her tormentor. And yet, somewhere deep inside, another possibility gnaws at her. What if she is imagining some of this? What if the guilt has grown so immense that she is manifesting enemies where none exist? Could she be unraveling so completely that her mind is creating threats out of thin air? Soap operas thrive on blurred lines between paranoia and reality, and Mariah may be walking that razor's edge. But whether the blackmail is real or imagined, the consequences will be catastrophic, because secrets on the young and the restless never stay secrets for long, and the 5 words that began this torment, "I know what you did," are only the beginning of a storyline that promises to consume Mariah's sanity, her marriage, her career, and perhaps even her freedom. The torment only deepens as Mariah Copeland realizes that the blackmailer is not content with veiled threats or vague intimidation but is steadily raising the stakes, each new demand more sinister than the last, each message dripping with the promise of destruction unless she complies, and the weight of it crushes her until she can barely breathe. At first it was money, and she scrambled to find enough cash without alerting Tessa or Sharon, lying about expenses and draining what little savings she and Tessa had tucked away for their future. But once she delivered the money, leaving it in an unmarked envelope beneath a bench in Chancellor Park as instructed, the messages continued, colder now, sharper, filled with details that prove the sender truly does know what happened that night, describing the room number, the smell of the hotel, the frantic way she tried to wake the man before giving in to panic and pressing down harder until he stilled. And reading those descriptions makes her shake so violently she can barely hold her phone. The blackmailer is not after cash alone. They want obedience, control, and perhaps ultimately her soul, because now the demand is different. Sabotage Sharon's company or the secret goes public, and that is the moment Mariah realizes she is not only fighting for her own survival but for Sharon's legacy as well, a legacy already threatened by competitors like Cain Ashby who has been circling Cassidy First technology like a predator, and suddenly the possibility that Cain himself is orchestrating this nightmare feels all the more real. After all, he would benefit directly from Sharon's downfall, and using Mariah's guilt as leverage fits his ruthless streak perfectly. But at the same time Mariah cannot shake the feeling that someone closer, someone more personal, might be behind it, because the blackmailer's words cut too deep, they are too intimate, almost taunting her with knowledge of her guilt, and the way they phrase certain things suggests they aren't merely exploiting her but savoring her pain. She begins to suspect Daniel Romalotti Jr., who has been spending so much time with Tessa under the guise of music collaborations, always smiling that disarming smile, always present in ways that make her feel excluded. And what if Daniel has stumbled upon the truth and decided to play his own dangerous game, testing how far she will go to keep her secret while simultaneously edging her out of Tessa's life? The paranoia twists tighter, every interaction poisoned by doubt. When Tessa laughs at something Daniel says, Mariah hears betrayal. When Sharon asks if she's all right, Mariah hears suspicion. When Cain casually mentions that Genoa City is a small town where everyone eventually knows everything, Mariah hears a direct threat. And the isolation becomes unbearable, yet she cannot confide in anyone because doing so would mean admitting the unthinkable, that she killed a man during a drunken night she never wanted to remember, a man who may or may not be alive, a man whose presence still looms over her life in the form of these messages. The blackmailer escalates further, demanding proof of loyalty, plant false data in Sharon's servers, deliver private files to a mysterious drop, and when Mariah hesitates, the response is immediate, a photo attached to an email, grainy but clear enough to recognize the hotel hallway, and her own figure captured on camera, rushing away from the room the night of the suffocation, undeniable evidence that she was there. Evidence that could ruin her if it reached the authorities or the press. The ground beneath her seems to vanish, and she begins to spiral into reckless decisions, snapping at Tessa, avoiding Sharon, drinking late at night despite her therapist's warnings, and each slip only deepens her guilt until she barely recognizes herself in the mirror. The story is no longer about a single bad night but about the unraveling of a woman who cannot escape her past, and the blackmailer's grip tightens with every passing day, until Mariah starts to wonder if exposure might be easier than this constant torment. At least then the waiting would be over. At least then the truth would be out and she would no longer live in fear of the next message. But the thought of Tessa's eyes filled with horror, Sharon's heart breaking, Faith looking at her like a stranger, stops her from confessing. And so she continues to comply, continues to live in the suffocating cycle of demands and guilt, knowing that eventually something has to break. Whether it will be her sanity, her marriage, her freedom, or the blackmailer's identity finally revealed, she does not know, but she feels the endgame approaching, and with it the terrifying certainty that when the truth explodes, no one in Genoa City, not Tessa, not Sharon, not Daniel, not even Cain, will emerge unscathed.